I just finished an interview about my new book, Spiritual Experience. And the host of the podcast asked me, why is it that so many spiritual experiences are scary, or that people seem to be scared of spiritual experiences? There's so much misunderstanding around them, and people almost seem to avoid them in some cases. Well, first of all, let's clarify that when we're talking about spiritual experiences, this can be anything and everything from out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, profound synchronicities, aha moments. This can also include meditative experiences of visionary realms or dreams that come true, even experiences of non-duality and what some people would call pure consciousness. So there's a lot of things included when we talk about spiritual experience. So we have to be careful not to generalize. Having said that, I think it is true that there are a lot of special experiences that we have that people almost immediately try to shake themselves out of, or talk themselves out of, or just plain old not pay attention to. And I'd say that there's two main reasons why people do this. The first is kind of an exterior reason, and the second is a kind of interior reason. Well, the exterior reason is that many people today in the Western world in particular have been conditioned to believe that spiritual experiences are dangerous, that if you encounter a ghost, or if you experience the world in an unusual way, or if you see lights or colors, that somehow it means maybe there's a problem with your brain, or maybe there's something sinister that you're encountering, or maybe you're just imagining it. And the kind of cynicism and skepticism that pervades our culture makes it so that it's really hard to talk about these things, and very often we will dismiss them quickly ourselves. If you think, for example, about just the way we've come to use the word mystical, it's a perfect example of how we've been conditioned to take our attention away from spiritual experience. Ultimately, academically, the word mystical refers to an encounter of ultimate reality, a sense that we're experiencing something beyond the ordinary that is somehow essential to the very fabric of the universe itself. So in some traditions, this means a direct experience of God, a direct experience of energy, and this could also include experiences of consciousness and psychedelic experiences. But if someone uses the word mystical in conversation today, more often than not, they'll use it with air quotes, and they'll use it to mean something that is insubstantial or weird or silly. So they might say something like, "Oh yeah, did you hear about George and his mystical experience when he was fishing the other day?" It's usually not meant in a very kind way, and so when we have those mystical experiences, we sort of do the same thing to ourselves, and we dismiss it or distract ourselves or move on. Of course, the roots of this behavior are ancient, and I'm not going to get into that on this video, but for hundreds of years, arguably thousands of years, we've been influenced by the Judeo-Christian traditions that have led us to believe that only certain people should be in charge of spiritual experiences, the priests and the rabbis, and of course everyone else should just show up, pay their dues, and take the lessons and rules as they come. I'm not getting into that. But there's an internal side to this as well. Very often spiritual experiences challenge our way of thinking about life and challenge the way we think about ourselves. And that is scary for most people. Most of us are pretty attached to a sense of control, a sense of identity, and trying to keep the world the way we like it and the way we know it. Spiritual experiences are usually experiences that tell us that there's more going on than we think. Spiritual experiences are experiences that tell us that we ourselves might be more than we think we are. And more than that, that our universe is more mysterious, more powerful, and more difficult to understand. For a lot of us, that threatens the ego. That threatens the identity. That threatens our sense of safety and self. And so we'd rather not put our energy or attention into those things. Frankly, it's just easier to overlook them or ignore them. And yet, ironically, if you really take some time to investigate the feeling of a spiritual experience, to take the time to explore and question the meaning of your spiritual experiences, you'll find that they actually help you in all the ways you're afraid they won't. Spiritual experiences help us to live with the mystery of life, help us to take responsibility and control for the things that we can be responsible for and control, and ultimately allow us to have a more expansive sense of self so that we can enjoy and make the most of our wholeness and everyday life. Well, that's a bit about that. I think I need to go inside.